Welcome to Heart-Filled Truth, a place for real conversations rooted in Christ, resting in prayer with Jesus at the center of it all. I'm your co-host, Laura Neal, and I've got two very special guests here today, my sons, Gloire Humba and David Oyana, and we're just going to sit and talk about what Christ is doing in our lives today and kind of just where God's led us and how we're following what He's told us to do. So, who wants to start today?
Okay, I actually have a question for Glory.
Okay, what you got?
So, Glory.
Yes, sir.
So,
man.
when we're here, what do you think was the moment, or when do you think was the moment when you, realized that you need to take your relationship with Christ, seriously? Because I remember when we came here, we know about Christ, but, we didn't, devote our life toward, trying to be like Him, every single day of our life. What was that moment for you that really, shifted?
I think, like you mentioned, man, we grew up. I mean, like you mentioned, I grew up in a Christian family. Dad is a pastor, mom is a faithful believer. So I grew up around, the Bible or praying every night as a family. But I still had that mindset of, a Christian is somebody who just believes in Jesus. As long as you believe in Jesus, as long as you go to church, as long as you pray sometimes, or maybe read your Bible sometimes, then you're good to go, right? But that's why I still live my life in sin, even because I knew, okay, I was a Christian because I believe in Jesus Christ. But the moment that I read that passage that I mentioned earlier, I can't remember the Bible verse, but I think it was something about Paul and somebody else was the first people to be called Christian because they were behaving like Jesus Christ. So that was the true definition of me. The moment that everything clicked, when I realized that a Christian is not somebody only who believes in Jesus Christ, but somebody who behaves like Jesus Christ. Because the devil also believe in Jesus Christ, right? Because he was the angel of God. In fact, James chapter 2, verse 19 says that you believe in God, good, even demons believe in God. Demon does the same thing as well, right? So what is the difference between me and Satan? It's not believing, because believing, they also believe that God is real, God exists. But the difference is the difference again is behaving, right? They chose to disobey God and we choose to obey God. So that moment where that verse actually clicked in my mind, that made me realize, my gosh, I am not a Christian yet. I am a sinner. I'm still living in sin. That's the reason why when I truly realized that verse and He made sense to me and I repented, I cried out to God. I called my family back home. I told him, Dad, of course my dad knew it, because when I told him, he's like, yeah, I knew it. We have been praying for you to be saved. We already knew you were not saved. And I reached out to my pastor here, Pastor Philip. That's what I told him, man, I need to get baptized, right? I need to take this thing seriously. So I did. And I decided when I did, I had to make some decision in my life to get rid of, any kind of sinful action in my life. So I had to get rid of it and just really focus on, reading my Bible and really grow my relationship with Christ. So this is the moment. So the clicking moment was that verse right there. When that verse actually made sense to me, it's like, my gosh, I need to make sure that I get things right. So what about you, man?
I forget my question.
When did it really click for you and your relationship become a true relationship with Christ and not just something you believed?
I feel like when I think about it, I can't really pinpoint a specific moment. I feel like it happened throughout the course of multiple events in my life.
Yeah.
And I feel like some of the major ones happened when I moved to Europe. And the main one was when I was in Europe and I got diagnosed with some type of heart condition due to COVID. And in the midst of it, that's when my world started to get shaken, because before that, my whole life revolved around basketball. Every decision that I made was based on how does it help me become a better basketball player, or how does it get me closer to the NBA. So even moving and at the time I didn't realize that was the wrong mindset to have, because that led me to being very selfish and egoistical, and I wasn't showing it out loud, but that's who I was inside. And I didn't even know about it until later on when I reflected on it. But when I was in Europe by myself and the doctor told me you can't play for 3 months and there's chances that you'll never be able to play again, at that moment I felt my whole world just crumbled beneath my feet, and I was asking myself what am I gonna do now? If I'm not able to play basketball, what am I gonna do? Who am I? Because my identity was tied in with basketball. Like that's all I knew. That's who I thought I was, David the basketball player. I was like, then if I don't have basketball, who am I? I'm worthless. Then I was just in a dark place. And I would love to say that in the midst of it, I turned to God and changed my life around, but I didn't. I was just lost, asking questions with no answer. And the worst part about it, I didn't open up about it. I kept it myself. I told you guys that I had some hard stuff, but I didn't tell you guys like the mental toll that it had on me. But I feel like that was the starting point of everything. Because in the midst of it, I started like asking hard questions, like what are you gonna do if basketball doesn't work out? Because at that time I had the intangibles and the skills, but like I didn't think about the outside factors that could impact whether or not you make it to the pros, like injuries or sickness and stuff like that. And like I started thinking about it, and instead of saying I gotta turn to the Lord, I started saying, okay, I'm good at basketball, but I'm kind of smart too, so I might as well just have school as my plan B. So that's when I started thinking maybe I should go back to the US and like pursue school as well as basketball. And I feel like God really like set things in motion with all of it. That's when I ended up coming back to the US my senior year. And when I came back, I started like going to church every now and then. Every time I'll come back home, I'll be around you guys and I'll be around Glory. And I was shocked when I saw Glory, because he was like a different man, that the one I left when I went to Europe. I was like, what happened, Glory? I was like, what happened, bro? What happened,
The Lord is
like
mad.
I was like, I couldn't believe my eyes, because like when I was in Europe, I would talk to him on the phone every now and then, but I feel like I was just in my own little world, so I didn't really like get to like see step by step the way Glory was changing. So when I came back to the US, like I got to witness like that changed man right in front of my eyes. I was like, where did Glory go? Like he was like a different person. And like that really like spurred like something inside of me, because like it's crazy when like someone and they truly give their life to Christ and truly like change the way they live. Like that really inspires you and wants you to like dig deep and like try to like what happened, like that really like made me want
I
to
want that.
so
Yeah.
I started like tapping in with him every time I came back home. And Glory always tells me that I have a bad habit of embodying the people that I'm around. So he would say that every time I'll come back home, I'll like get around with Christ, just because I was around him. But that was true, because I'll come back home and like really like see him and like really try to tap in with him and like give him a word. But like I'll do that, but when I'll leave, like my relationship with the Lord will be shallow. I'll get in a word every now and then, but I wasn't as tapped in as when I was back home. But in the midst of it, I was just struggling and wrestling. Then when I went to college, my freshman year of college, I still had like that dream in my head, I'm going to the NBA, I'm gonna be one and done. Then like the first part of the summer was good. I was doing really good at basketball. Then out of nowhere I got hurt and I was out for 3 months. And in the midst of it, like I started questioning myself again, And by the grace of God, where I was at, like I was just asking God, I was like, God, I'm lost, Like I need you to like help me find a church, And I made that prayer, and after I was done praying that prayer, I walked out of my apartment, like of my dorm, to go do PT. And as I was walking out, there's a car, parked, and the person in the car just dropped off his kid and his wife, and the person in the car was staring at me. I was like, who's this random person staring at me? Then the car left and the car came back again because I was waiting for those little car to take me to the gym to go do PT. Then the guy was like, do you need a ride? And growing up, my mom always told me don't ride with a stranger. Like, if a stranger talks to you, look at the other way or run the other way. But somehow, like I said yes without even thinking about it. And when I got in the car, like the guy was like, I was like, thank you so much, God bless you. And he was like, when I said God bless you, he smiled. And I was like, then I don't even know what I say, but it's part of the conversation of him telling me that I'm a pastor. And just a couple minutes, I was asking God to help me find a church. I was like surprised, and he saw like my expression. And he was like, why are you making that face? I was like, man, I'm not gonna lie to you. A couple minutes before you picked me up, I was asking God to help me find a church. And he was like, that's crazy, because before I came here and brought my family, I was praying to God and asking him how I can like help like somebody today, like and like that was just crazy. Then we connected, and when I was in Texas, like he helped me find a church. Then every now and then I would go to church with him, and like he introduced me to other like believers that were students. And I wish while I was there, I really like took advantage of that. But I was still then like dabbling between like trying to live for God and trying to live for the world, you know. And that just went that way. Then I ended up transferring to Kansas City. And while I was there, like God kept working on my life. And that's one thing about God, you know, like no matter like how far you think you went astray for Him, He loves you so much that He'll chase after you and try to bring you back to Him, you know.
He's gonna leave the 99 to
Yeah.
find you, right?
Indeed, man. And like that's just the story of my life. God going out of His way to come and find me wherever I was. And the same thing happened in Kansas City. I met a teammate that really like impacted my life and my walk with Christ. And his name was Anderson. And like the crazy part about it, before I met him, I thought I wouldn't get along with him because he missed the first part of summer workouts. But even though he wasn't there, people kept talking about him. And they're like, there's this dude, his name's Anderson, and he's very bossy, and he's always yelling at people and giving orders. I was like, nah, me and him won't get along, man. Like, I'm not his son. Does he think he's my dad to come yell at me? I'm a grown man just like him. Then, like, I was like, no, me and him won't get along. Then when he got there, like there's something about him, like we didn't speak any words, but just his demeanor. Then I was like, what's good, bro? What's your story? Like, you know, like, why weren't you here? You know, like during the first part of the workout. Then that's when he told me that he was at the Bible camp. And after that, we just started talking. Then he shared his testimony with me. And his testimony was very similar to mine. You know, basketball was the god of his life, and he poured a lot into it. And a lot of stuff happened out of his control that helped him turn to Christ. And I was just inspired by his story and just like the way he moved and went about his relationship with Christ every day, you know. It wasn't just something that was like superficial, but it was something that was very real and like sincere, you know. Just like the way he treated people and just like the servanthood, and like he was serving people. He go out of his way to serve people even though he didn't need to, you know. And like that really helped me, you know, like keep growing in my walk with Christ. And I feel like ever since then there's been ups and downs, you know. There's time where like I fall, but like ever since then, like the Lord has really like went out of his way to like teach me even in the midst of like my mistakes, you know. Because like back then, like, you know, like there's like misunderstanding that I had about like how God operates, you know. I thought that I had to like be a certain way. I had to like, instead of chasing having a relationship with God, I started like chasing like, you know, like the things, like how much time I spend in the Bible, how much time I spend in prayer, you know. Like all those things are good, but like those things are byproduct of trying to have a genuine relationship with Christ. But instead of chasing the genuine relationship with Christ, I found myself like chasing like the amount of things that I was able to do, you know, because all of that is superficial, and all of that doesn't matter if you don't truly have a genuine relationship with him, you know. And that's something that I had to learn. And it's crazy because some of the craziest things that God had taught me was in the midst of me not even being like tapped in with him like that. And I'll ask myself, like, how are you like teaching me even though I'm not doing what I'm supposed to do, you know? I'm not in the words, but how are you still teaching me? Then I realized that it's not because of what I'm able to do or what I'm doing, but it's because of what he's done. Amen. And me accepting it and living through it. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I don't have it figured out. I'm still struggling, but in the midst of my struggle, he's teaching me and helping me in the midst of it. I'm not gonna lie to you, man.
That's what he does, right? He finds us where we're at. He's not waiting for you to be in a spot to come to him, right? He wants you exactly where you're at. He knows where you're at. There's nothing that you can take to him that's going to surprise him. He can handle your doubts. He's big enough to handle your doubts. He's big enough to handle your concerns. He's big enough to handle all of those things. And, you know, even a few years ago, would you think I'd be doing a podcast?
No. It's amazing to see how God has been working in your lives. And I remember, like, we're in a car together, and I was like, Mom, like, you know, like, obviously when we came here, you're going to church and stuff, but like, there's like a moment, I think I told you in the car, like, there's something different about you. Like, I'm in the Word every day now, and like, and you can see it, you can feel it. You know, when you're starting to take your relationship with the Lord seriously, like, other people are going to notice it, you know. And you're not doing that because you're trying to look a certain way in front of people, but because you truly care about your walking relationship with Christ. And that's going to impact other people, you know. And Gloire and you are a prime example of it, you know.
I'm still working. I'm still a work in progress, right?
Every one of us, man.
We're still works in progress.
I wish I had it all figured out.
We're still working on. Well, we're never going to be perfect, but we're still working on all those things, and we're still working on how to get better. And he definitely lit a fire in my heart for sharing my story and sharing my kids and sharing all of the things that God has allowed me to be a part of with you guys. And if it helps, then that's what we're going to do. So what else do you think? Anything else you guys want to share today on this one?
For me, I would just encourage. I don't know who's gonna listen to this, but first and foremost, I just want to encourage you. If you don't have the relationship with Jesus Christ, I strongly maybe beg you to really have a relationship with God. And if you don't know how to do that, if you still have doubt, which is okay, faith is hard. Believing something that you never seen before, man, it's not easy. Believing Jesus Christ is not easy.
No.
It's definitely not easy. So, but God is a God who is alive. He cares, He loves. So my advice to you, my encouragement to you, just cry out to Him, talk to Him. Say, God, I want to believe in you, but I don't know how. If you are actually real, would you please reveal yourself to me? And I believe that our Lord is alive. He cares, He loves you, and He's going to show you the way. He's going to reveal Himself to you to show you that He's actually real and He's coming back soon. And also, if you struggle with something, I don't know what it is, man, just life, financial, health, whatever the case may be, I just encourage you guys to really be faithful. Like I say, faith doesn't make things easier, but it truly makes them possible. It's not easy. Faith, man, I wish. I have a lot of stories about how, even though in the midst of my faith, man, God challenged me in so many ways to the point where, man, I'll admit it. Sometimes I doubt the power of God. Sometimes I doubt if even that. I ask myself, God, are you actually real? Like, even though deep inside of me, I knew that God was real, but like, the struggle was so hard to the point where I'm like, God, do you even love me? Like, are you even present? Do you even care? But in the midst of it, though, inside of me, I still believe. And the last thing I'm going to add is just like, I learned something like, as a Christian, sometimes we are taught to just to be tough. Or as a Christian, you are supposed to be faithful and just be tough. Don't let your emotions show up because God is with you. That's true. God is with you. But remember that God is your Father. It's okay to go to God and tell Him you are mad at Him. It's okay to go to God and tell Him, God, I don't understand what you're doing with my life. It's okay to go to God and open up because He's your Father. He cares. Yes. Right? He wants you to go with open heart, open mind, and tell Him how exactly you feel. Because either way, if you don't tell Him, He already knows how you feel. Like, He knows that you're angry. He knows you're mad. He knows you're upset. He knows it all. So you might as well just go and talk to Him honestly. Open your heart. Say, God, I'm confused. I'm lost. I feel lonely. I feel depressed. I don't know what to do. But deep inside of me, I know that you are God. I know you're in control. I know you are power over everything. But God, would you please help me? Whatever. If you need strength, would you please give me strength? If you need wisdom, God, would you please give me wisdom? If you need, show me the way, God, would you please show me the way? And I guarantee you, if you stay in that path of faithfulness, God will always reveal Himself to you. So that's my encouragement to you guys.
Absolutely. He will definitely, life of being a believer is definitely not one that is easy. It even says in the Bible that the life of a believer is going to be full of trials and tribulations because the devil's going to try to win you back to his side, right? Yeah. So find other believers, find someone to believe with, and if you need help with that, comment on our videos or find, we're on TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, or here on YouTube. Any of those places you can connect with somebody. Find a church, find a mentor, connect with one of us, and we'll definitely point you in the right direction or mentor you ourselves or find you somebody in your local area. So definitely reach out to us, give us a follow, and we definitely love you guys and look forward to seeing you in our next episode. So thank you for joining us here on Heartfilled Truth. May truth shape your heart, prayers steady your spirit, and Jesus remain at the center as you go. We love you.
Bye.